you are an entrepreneur, a professional, a speaker, or a coach, and although you've come a long way, it's time for you to take it to the next level. We've got you. This is the Author to Authority podcast. We'll help you use authority and influencer marketing to build your business stronger and faster by publishing a book. You'll hear from guests that are thought leaders in sales, marketing, networking, communication, social media, promotion, and business leadership. Let's do it. This is the Author to Authority podcast. And now your host, the extraordinary word ninja, Kim Thompson-Pinder.
Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast, and today I have Arlando Fortune, and I don't even know if I came close to saying that correct.
You said it right, you good.
Okay, and he is a former government accountant turned entrepreneur and self-publishing strategist. Although he graduated with honors and an opportunity to play professional baseball, he chose to become a government accountant. We've got to explore that one. But his strong desire to help people in need led him to real estate investing, where he focused on distressed home sellers. And financial success in real estate revealed emotional and mental wounds in his life that, he needed to deal with. And so I know that bio actually didn't cover what we're going to talk about today, which is persuasive storytelling. I'm going to let him tell his story a little bit more, but welcome to the show, Fortune.
Appreciate you, Ms. Kim. This is a great opportunity to showcase the new setup and get on here and talk about some of the things I love talking about most, which is publishing books and storytelling. Love it.
What I'd like you to do, Fortune, I'm going to let you do most of the talking today, is why don't you share your story? So I shared a little bit in the bio, but why don't you kind of take it from there and tell us how you went from, a government accountant to a self-publishing strategist?
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate that. My transformation really actually happened while I was locked up. And I literally remember sitting on a hard jail cell bunk and my face is in my hands. And I'm trying to figure out, how did I get here again? As I'm sitting there, I got all this noise going on in the background, people playing cards, banging out beats and rapping and doing all types of commotion going on around me. And I'm sitting there trying to have this conversation with God because I was trying to figure out why I had messed up again. See, this wasn't my first time being locked up, and it wasn't my first time having the prayer that I was having with him, which is, if you get me out this time, I promise I'll change. Here's the crazy thing. That happened on a Thursday. The Thursday before that, I got locked up for the same thing. I just said the same prayer. About 7 months before that day, I was locked up for the same thing, and I had that same type prayer. So 3 times in 1 year locked up for the same felony. So I was actually 3 strikes rule. I should have been going straight to prison. God had a different plan for me. And I knew he had a different plan for me because before then, when I graduated from high school, I had an opportunity to go play D1 at Howard University, full scholarship. Around my junior year, they wanted to bring in some new athletes. And they was like, we got to make some room for scholarships because, it's a smaller school, private school. And so they asked me to go to an academic scholarship. Could I still qualify for that? Full scholarship academic. So I have the brains and I got the brawn. Okay, just trying to say that. Okay. And I must say so myself, I got a little beauty, but that's the eyes of the beholder. And then when I graduated from Howard University, I graduated with honors with a degree in accounting. And I also had opportunity to go play pro ball for the Montreal Expos up there in Canada. I turned it down thinking, I didn't think they was giving me enough money and, just big-headed ego type of stuff. So I said, I'm going to work for the government because this is one of the things that Black families do. We talk about go get a good government job, GUV, government job. And you set. So that's what I did. I'd already been working for the government when I was in college in this stay in school program. So I was like, cool, I'm going there. Now, a government accountant is already an oxymoron. Government and accounting, they should not be right next to each other. All right. That's government accounting. And I sitting there looking around like, this isn't what I want to do. So I started spending the United States, they good government, they tax money to go learn about real estate investing. Okay. So I'm printing out papers and I'm highlighting stuff, trying to figure out how to get rich and wealthy. Right. So when that new guy came in, he was this like golden haired surfer type guy who's going to change and remodel the government. He was going to fix our department. And I was like, whatever. He asked us, he asked each one of us what we wanted to do, what was our plans for the government. And I said, I want to learn from you how to be my own leadership, be my own leader. That led me to go into real estate. And real estate, I started making a lot of money, started going partying, and started going into drugs. That leads me down the path to end up being locked up. But when I was locked up, I finally decided that I was going to change. And I wrap this up here. I decided I really wanted to change this time. So I got back into my books, which is one of the reasons why I say that you're one book away from the next breakthrough in your life or in your business. I started getting back into my reading and so forth, and started figuring out these ideas about how I wanted to change my life. And with that clear mind, I started writing everything down on this yellow legal piece of paper. I folded it in half. I drew a little cover and a table of contents. I wrote these ideas about what I wanted to be, how this book I wanted to write, because I didn't know if I was going to stay clean, but I had a kid on the way and I already had a son. I was like, here are the principles. Here's how to change your life and become the person God designed you to be. I decided I need to write that book going into Thanksgiving. It was like 20 pages of glory. I was like, yes, I'm an author, but I did nothing with it for about 18 months.
Isn't that how a lot of people do that, right?
Yeah, you put it on the computer. I still have books on my computer now that I haven't published. They're just ready. So people ask me how many books have you written? I was like, well, I've written 6. I published 3. Like, they're not done. But I meet this woman named Cashel Kelly at a women's empowerment event, and she challenged me to stop taking God's glory and tell his story. That's when the lid came off from me, and I published that first book, Unlimited Potential. And when people, how to stop living with your fears, doubts, and uncertainties. When I finished that book, I started creating courses. I started getting paid to coach. I started getting paid to speak. And I was like, oh, my life just changed from one book again. There it is. And from there, people kept asking me, how do you write this book? And I don't know if you had this, Ms. Kim. People ask me how to write this book, and I sit down with them like, yes, I get excited. Yeah, let me show you how to do it. You should write a book. And then they do nothing with it. And I got tired of sitting in coffee shops telling people how to write these books and not do anything. I said, I got to start charging for it. And there it comes in the self-publishing strategy.
I loved some of the things that you said. So for me, it's not legal pads. It's 11 by 11 inch Post-it notes.
There you go. Wow, that is so big. That's awesome.
My daughter got them for me last year because she knows I love Post-it notes. And my best friend loves Post-it notes too. So when she saw them, she started to drool. So my daughter bought a package for her for Christmas. They're like some of my best office buddies, because 11 by 11 Post-it note, you can write an awful lot on that thing.
A whole lot on there. And do they stick to the wall too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they're all on my wall away from the
camera. Yeah.
cameras.
Oh, I can believe that.
But one of the things that you said that caught my attention was the fact that you've got these books written down, and yet, there was something stopping you from taking it to the next step. And that's something that I've seen in just about every single client I've worked with. We are at RTI Publishing, we ghostwrite as well. There hits the middle point of the book and they stall out. It's almost like the reality that this book is coming alive. It's almost like, you're in that last stages of pregnancy and you're like, is this child really going to come? And you start to just kind of panic, right?
Freaking out.
So I always give my clients a week or two in that part. And it's like, okay, let's have the discussion. Let's start moving forward, because they stall out because the reality of it hits them so hard. And they start to think, is this book going to be good enough? Is this book going to change? And I don't know about you, but this is what I tell my clients.
Yep.
I tell them, your book is not for everyone. And we're not writing your book to everyone. We're writing your book to the people who need to read it.
Yes, ma'am.
And the people who need to read it, even if it's not 100% perfect, they're going to receive such tremendous value from it that it's going to change their life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a key point there. And 2 things on there real quickly. One is I have this principle called secure the bag. Now, what people understand what securing the bag means, I'm going to make sure I get my money. Okay. I use the word secure the bag because the philosophy behind it is to think profit first. The definition of profit is a benefit, an advantage, or a gain, BAG. So when I got secure the bag, before I start writing, what benefit, advantage, or gain? If with that in mind, I know I'm going to get paid, or I'm going to help someone build a cause, because you might be writing a book to do for your foundation or whatnot, to get the message out, to build your following community. So securing that bag up first makes me know what I want to do for myself. But it also means I need to understand who I'm writing this book for. I
Yes.
initially wrote that my first book, Unlimited Potential, was, again, I said written for my kids. I wrote the book for my kids. But you know how many people have said, man, this feels like you're just talking to me. This book is written for me. It was written for my kids. When I go with my authors, I will literally, as we go through the ideal reader profile, we
Yes.
create it, what's it look like, the name, who this one person. And it might be multiple, but we go one person at a time. It might be like two at the max. Two max. I get this profile, name, age, what does a lifestyle look like? What is the day in the life of this person, of the reader? What are their goals? What are they like now? And after they finish your book, what does it look like? Because your book's gonna be the bridge between them. So creating this picture of who this person is and the psyche of this person. And then guess what I do? I ask them to give me a name. What's this person's name?
Nice.
And then we go out into the Google. We ask Mr. Google, give me, like, the last person's name was Kyle. So we went out here and looked for Kyle that was 35 years old, that looked like had kids and had, working in the office. And we looked for pictures of Kyle. I have us copy and paste that picture of Kyle that looks like the person we just created and put it on a document. So now when my authors go to write, they're writing to Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps it in front of them, like, I need to change Kyle's life. And this is the second part I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
It is selfish of me to have a message that's going to transform someone's life and for me to keep it to myself, regardless of how good I say that, especially nowadays when we can go out and change the document today and it be uploaded tomorrow and people can buy it, the updated version, edited version.
Yes.
I'm writing to Kyle, and it's selfish of me to keep that message to myself when I'm supposed to transform Kyle's life with that message.
It's funny you said that. At one point I was kind of debating some things, and whether I write some things, different things I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. God basically said to me, he says, how dare you hold back the blessings I've given you from those who need it the most? Uh-huh. That was like a holy God moment. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yes, sir, you tell me, I will do it, and he was right. And it got me thinking, God has given me gifts, talents, skills, and abilities. Mm-hmm. And he's given them so that I can reach certain people in this world.
Yes, ma'am.
And how dare I question my self-worth? How dare I question whether I'm good enough or whatever. Mm-hmm. If God has told me to do it, then he'll equip me, and he has the right people for it. And that changed my life. And I was like, no longer was I going to hold back and play small.
There you go. I give you a phrase for that. The same lady, Kashelle Kelly, who told me to stop taking God's glory and tell his story. Another phrase she said, I got to talk to her. She said, God didn't give you a vision for you to put it on layaway.
Oh.
Bars. I was like, oh, okay. You know how when someone says something that you get excited about, you start looking around for someone to did you catch that? And you want to get a high five or something? Did you hear what she just said? Wake up. Did you hear that? Yeah, that was one of those moments.
We actually had titled today's segment, I'm just looking at the StreamYard link, How to Make Thousands from Your Book Outline Before You Write a Word. So,
oh yeah, we did do that. Okay.
Yeah, we did. I couldn't remember. So one mindset that I see a lot is people thinking the book has to be published before they can make money from it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's not true at all. I teach my clients are making money from their books throughout the whole process.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Well,
no worries. I got you. All right. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about here. First off, the first thing I want to say is that I have a strategy I borrowed from a good friend of mine named Taria Avant, where she actually pre-sells her book. She taught me the strategy, and I write about it in my book called The 4-Hour Book. In that book, I talk about the strategy of sharing that you are writing a book. And then in sharing that you're writing the book, some people are going to be like, oh, what about what? And that's when you have this deeper conversation with them about what the ideas for the book is. Because the book may not be written. You just have ideas about what you're going to write about. And some people are going to be interested. And if they're interested, you can ask them to invest into the book so they can get a personal signed copy. Now, here's what I'm going to say about that. You can get upfront payment for it. I mean, this is a different way of looking about crowdfunding, but they're actually invested because it's kind of one-to-one. You ask them for the payment up front, and you're going to be delivering it to them. I can ask for a book I know I'm going to sell for $20. I can ask for $25 to cover shipping and handling. Now, here's some numbers, y'all. I'm going to give a secret. The reason why people are able to sell books for $8.95, just a free plus shipping, is because I can have my book printed and shipped to me for $4 to my door. A piece, $4 a piece. I can send something through media mail, unless I want to do priority. I can go media mail and have it shipped from California to New York for about $3. So $4 plus $3 means I got a little wiggle room if I got to, for shipping or wherever it's going or whatever, packaging and all that stuff. You got to put it in there. Might want to put a little piece of paper in there, with the little letter, handwritten letter saying how much you appreciate them. And if you got coaching or courses or things of that going on, you put something in there also, right? All together, I can still make money. So if I sold it for $25 and it's only going to cost me $8 to get it to them once I get it, I still made $17 already. So I'm already making profit money right there. That's just one strategy. I threw that on top. Here's what I did for the last book on. Initially, you see it up on there. It was called How to Write a Book in Less Than 4 Hours. That's the initial name for the book. It's now shortened to the 4 Hour Book because three words is a good title. Okay, it's easy to remember and easy to create a website out of. Initially, when I created the book, here's what I did, Ms. Kim. I created a workshop. Had people pay me to come to the workshop. At the workshop, I recorded it, video. So now I just got paid to create the course that now I could sell because I didn't cut the course up and put it into different episodes, different modules. And because I had people there to get feedback while I'm recording it, now I can answer their questions and continue modifying and make sure the modules answered all the questions. Later on, I can add little details or whatever. But I created the course. I got paid to create the course. I created the course and started selling the course. Then I took that outline that I created the course and taught the course off of, and I started telling people, hey, I can teach you how to write your book.
Yes.
So when I go to my coaching program, you should be selling a package. It's easy to sell a package because I can now use that outline, the 10 steps in my outline, to qualify somebody for my coaching or consulting. So when I get on the phone call with them, I'm going through, step one is to determine, step two is to determine the intention for the book. So now my question is, hey, so what do you plan on doing with the book? Do you have any ideas? And when they tell me no, boom, I highlight that. So now when I go to my closing, I say, well, based on what we've gone over, here's what I think you should do. Do you have a way of doing that? Because I can help you do. So I know I can do it because it's already part of my process. So I started selling my coaching right then before I'd finished the book because I hadn't taken that transcript from the same workshop I'd done, took that workshop and I transcribed it and it was gone to the editors. So I'm selling while it's at the editors and they're doing what they do to make it sound like a book and not a transcript. Please don't sell transcripts. That was like 2005. But I sent it to an editor to turn it into the book. And while that's going on, I'm selling the same course as coaching.
Yes.
One of the two ways to get paid. Well, that's actually multiple ways to get paid from the book's outline before you even write it.
Yeah. And you know what? That is so awesome and amazing. I love it. And one of the things I do is I actually teach my clients, and I love that idea, but I just teach my clients how to talk about the book. And then you actually sell from talking about the book. It's just simple conversations. So I love both ways because I think it depends on what you're selling too, right? A lot of my people tend to be service providers. So, sometimes the coaching course model doesn't work as much, but I love that fact that you did that. And it is one of the great ways. A few years ago before COVID, I used to do a 3-day book writing workshop and, I recorded it all. And at some point I will be writing the book about it. It's on the goal, I think, for late 2023, because I'm still working through some things with the first book. And I love it because you don't have to stay in the same box. You can think outside of the box and ways to use your book. It's not even just sometimes selling things. There's social proof. One of my clients, while he was writing his book, built a tremendous audience just by talking about the book, little quotes from the book, the process of writing the book. What messages, what things was he learning? Like, he just built this tremendous audience. And then towards the last half of writing the book, he started getting ready to sell the book. And, when that book launched, he sold 500 to 1,000 copies and has sold thousands of copies since. And now companies pay him to come in and do team reads with his book to teach their salespeople how to sell. So, there's so many different ways. There's so many different ways that you can use your book. And
that's an interesting point while you're getting a sip there, that you definitely want to give that behind the scenes, get people involved in the book and see what's going on. It's an own way of not only getting the work done, but sharing the message ahead of time. getting feedback from people, making some, they may ask a question about the quote you used or the idea for a chapter that you're writing on. They may ask you a question like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And now you know what the market wants. You're answering the actual questions that they have going on in their mind, which is the key to marketing, having an understanding of the conversation that's going on in their mind. And it's interesting you think about your author. John Maxwell did that. And that's where I got the idea from sharing it. He literally would write a chapter and then he put it out there for people to read. And he would use like on his website and so forth. And he literally wrote the book with his audience. So when it was done, they automatically wanted to buy the book. I was part of the process. I want to buy it because I was part of that. I helped him write chapter 2.
The thing is, feedback is really important. And, with my clients, there's several things we do during the process where I tell them, go put this out to your social media. Because they'll say to me, well, I want this certain way. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But what does your audience want? And mostly it comes down to the cover. Yeah. That's usually the sticking point is they want the cover a certain way. And I'm like, I know you do, but I don't want to kill your darling, but so usually what we do is, because we do create the covers for them, is we'll create 3 or 4. And, we usually narrow it down to about 3. And there's usually one that they really like. And I look at it and I'm like, it's okay. But so I tell them, put it out to your audience. And it's usually the one they don't want is the one the audience goes, oh, I love this. This is amazing. And then the thing is, it's their book, so they have the choice. But I'm I say to them, if your audience is telling you this is the cover that they want, now, again, you also have to be able to love it, right? Like, because you have to be able to own this. This is your book. So sometimes my clients have actually gone with the other covers and it still turned out fine. But, for me, I tested several different covers on my book, several different subtitles, different things. I put that all out to my audience and got feedback. And then from there, author to authority came about because I was testing all sorts of different brand names, title names for my book, different things like that. And that was the one that seemed to resonate the most with my audience. So that's what I went with.
Yeah, that gives part of that inclusion also. They're getting in part of that process. I remember reading about how to do titles and covers and so forth. And there was Tim Ferriss. In his initial book, that's how he came up with his titles. He put in titles and for his book and the covers is because he put it out there and said, hey, what do y'all think about this, that, and the other? What they said is what he used because it's not about you. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain types of books that obviously are about you, whatever it is.
More biographies.
Yeah, those are about you, okay? But if the book is not about you, if it's for your service business, if it's for your speaking business, you want to grow that. If it's for your coaching or consulting business, as I work with, I need to make sure I'm not really good at like fisherman or anything like that. I'm not good at fishing, but I know this. If I put the wrong bait out for the fish, it's not going to bite. If my fish like worms and I got these little flies, I'm not going to catch the right fish. And the fish I do catch aren't probably the ones I really want. I need to give them what they want. And if they say they want that, I need to give it to them. Now, inside the book, I say whatever I want to say in there, but I need to give them what they want to open the book.
So, Fortune, I've got one more question for you that I ask every single author that has come on the show.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we're going to have to close it out. So, the question that I ask is, what was the good, bad, and the ugly about publishing your first book?
The good is clarity. There's something about being able to, when you start writing the book and you start really getting clear about what your message is, that makes me feel real good. The bad of it is that the anxiety. Will they love me? Will they get what I'm saying? Did I say that right? Now the ugly part of that, the ugly part of it is not understanding true marketing in the beginning.
Yes.
So I put this book out there like, it's going to sell all these books because God put it in my heart and I wrote it for God. It's just going to go out there and it's just going to do it what it does. No,
crickets.
Nothing. You got to get out there and say, buy my book. But maybe not exactly like that. But at some point, even when you're talking about it, you got to say, buy my book. Like it's going to be plain and let people know. And that was the ugly part.
You know what I find funny about that? You're sitting there talking about the book, but unless you actually say to them, please go buy the book.
Yeah, they're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna say, you know what, I heard about this great book, and they said, did you buy it? No. Why didn't you buy it? I don't know. And the reason why is the author didn't tell you, buy my book. Notice I've said that so many times.
So, Fortune, we're basically out of time, but I would like you to just take a moment. And if people have been listening to this and they've really liked what you've said and they want to connect with you, what are some of the best ways to be able to connect with you? And do you have anything free you'd like to give away?
Excellent. The easiest way to get hold of me is you see the name on the screen, or for those who are listening, D. Arlando Fortune, DARLANDOFORTUNE, D. Arlando Fortune, all over these internet streets. Okay. All over these internet streets, you'll find me with them. You Google that. All right. I do have anyone that wants to talk about either their book, or if you have the book finished and you want to figure out how to create the courses and consulting and all that type of stuff, but you need the back end stuff because you make more money from the back end stuff than you do from the book. Then you can go to Signature Book Formula, signaturebbookformula.com. I got a free little audio video on there talking about what I do and how you can use that book. I do like to give away my first book though. I always like to give away my first book, but you can go to unlimitedpotentialbook.com, unlimitedpotentialbook.com/author authority. Now that will lead them to my first book, Unlimited Potential, How to Stop Living with Fear, Doubt, and Uncertainty. And you'll see what the actual book, a finished book, looks like, and just kind of see the idea of being able to tell your story, but actually infuse a message into it. And if you choose to, I'm not telling you to, there are some upsells on there, but the upsells are to like my clothing line for No Doubt Living. And though the profits from those, when you're buying the hoodies and hats and so forth, actually go to help somebody who's in reentry. I'm a recovering addict. And so I help support programs to help them get literacy, to get their life back together. So the profits from those, any of those sales from the hoodies and so forth, go towards those organizations.
That has been so wonderful. Thank you so much. And I just want to encourage you, support the authors and the guests that are on this show. They come on, they donate their time. I don't pay them to come on. They gladly come on and they donate their time so that you can move your business forward. So highly recommend, take advantage of these free offers that the guests are giving us. Check out their books, support them as a thank you for being on the show. So this has been D. Arlando Fortune and Kim Thompson-Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you on the very next episode. Bye now.
You've been listening to the Author to Authority podcast. The extraordinary word ninja, Kim Thompson-Pinder, has helped over 200 entrepreneurs, professionals, speakers, and coaches write and publish their books that have become incredible marketing tools for their business. And many of those have gone on to become Amazon best-selling authors and have used their books to land high-level clients and get on big stages. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit the website at www.authortoauthoritypodcast.com. See you next time.